Hold that. All right, good morning. Whoop, dropped my glasses. We are out here and feeding the deer, one of our daily chores that we don't get to every day, but if you get to them every few days, they stay where you can keep up with them pretty good. It is the 14th of March, 2024. We got a beautiful day here. I don't see any clouds in the sky here. And I don't see any clouds in the sky. It's probably 50 degrees right now. Very nice. Gonna be in the, did you say 80 today?
Yes.
80?
81.
81 degrees today here in South Georgia. March 15th is typically the last day that there might be frost, and that will be tomorrow. But 80 degrees, 81 degrees, that's getting on up pretty good. I hope it doesn't stay that way for the whole spring. We like to, like it to be spring, cool. Keeping it kind of cool, because down here, warm weather is getting up around 100. It gets to 100, 101, maybe even 102 sometimes. But it's really the humidity that makes it rather uncomfortable. But that's what God made trees for. And that's what God made air conditioning for. But I can tell you this, that people that work outdoors down here, guys that work on the highway, guys that build houses and all that, there's no days off for hot weather. They get out in it and they do it. The human body is capable. Something interesting has happened. Some of the red deer stags have lost their antlers. The one that's bucking up out there, you see him, he's the lead guy, I think, but he's lost his antlers. You can see the red, maybe you can see the red. Let me see if I can zero in on him a little bit. If we can see the red, where is he? The bloody nubs on his, there he is right there. If he'll turn his head this way, if you just keep looking, you're going to see him. That's him right there on the left-hand side of the screen. Turn your head this way, buddy. So when they fall off, they leave a bloody nub, I'll call it. He's the one with his head down still. And then one of the other ones has lost one antler.
Yeah, that's the same one.
Oh, he just lost the other one just then?
Yes.
Okay, so this is interesting. We're going to be able to pick that one up here in a minute. When he came up here a while ago, he had just lost one. And since we've been talking, did you see it come off?
That's when he got his head hung in the vine.
Okay, he got his antler in that vine right there that's hanging down. That vine right there. See there? And his antler came on off. And we'll get over there after a while and we'll pick it up and have a look at it. Okay, so I have a lesson today that is something that I have addressed before, but I continually feel like that it's very important to put this message out. And that is the message of the, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to blow my nose. This is allergy season, which is, I don't get it real bad, but okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of allergy relief advice here. I just learned about this product a few years ago. I had serious springtime hay fever when I was a kid. Just drove me crazy. My eyes would get puffy and all that. But I kind of got immune to it, or got stronger to it as the years went by. But in the spring, when your nose gets stuffy and all that, some people take allergy pills, which is an antihistamine, I think they call it, and it kind of dries your mucous membranes up and kind of makes it better. But there's a product called Xlear. It's Xlear, and it is a nasal spray. And there's the guy right there with his antler. It is a nasal spray, and it is, I haven't ever found anything that good. Or there he goes there. Now that his antlers are off, he fights with his feet. You see that? He knows his antlers aren't there. He knows he's got nothing to fight with, so he's intimidating his rivals by standing up. He has been dethroned, but the other ones don't know it yet. Back to the Xlear. Xlear. You can get it at your pharmacy over the counter. And it's a nasal spray, and it does very good for me to dry up my stuffy nose. And it doesn't take much. If you've got this, if you've got this problem of nasal congestion in the springtime, look at him. He's got no antlers, but and look at, even the little one is challenging him now, and the little one knows, even though he's got spikes. Isn't that amazing how they realize? This little one realizes, hey, I'm over you now because I still have these spike antlers and you got none. So the big boy has to stand up and fight with his feet, and even the little one with spikes is backing him down. Very interesting behavior. And then when they all lose their antlers, they will become almost bosom buddies until they grow them back. They just kind of hang out together and they don't fight and all that. Look at him trying to intimidate that one with we'll pick that antler up in a minute when we get through. Okay, Xlear. Try it if you've got nasal congestion, and sometimes it's a better way to go than a pill. The subject that is near and dear to my heart is the confusion over what hell is in the Bible. I've made a video about this, but I feel like that it's important to do it again. Try to make it brief. The general public out there, and I'll say people that are Christians and people that are non-Christians, think that the Bible teaches that God will punish people in a place of everlasting torment for eternity. We call it hell. But that is not what the Bible teaches. And Jesus, Yeshua the Messiah, is our authority. Now, whatever Jesus said is what is the truth. Because remember, Jesus said, I am the way, and I am the truth, and I am the life. So you can count on what he says as being the truth. Now I'm going to read you the parable of the, this is a parable here about the vineyard. I wanted to make this brief, but it's not going to be brief. I can't help it, and that doesn't matter. This is what needs to be said. You need to understand this parable first. Jesus said this. Hear another parable. There was a certain householder which planted a vineyard and hedged it round about, and digged a winepress in it, and built a tower, and let it out to husbandmen and went into a far country. And when the time of the fruits drew near, or the fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the husbandmen, and that they might receive the fruits of it. So this man that owned this vineyard sent his servants over there to get, what percentage of the fruits or the wine that they were making that was owed to him. And the husbandmen, that would be the people that had rented the vineyard, took his servants and beat one and killed another and stoned another. This is a picture of God sending the prophets to Israel to warn them of their apostasy and their sin. Again, he sent other servants more than the first. There's more prophets. God sent more prophets to Israel saying, hey, you guys get your act together. This child sacrifice and all that you're doing is no good. You got to quit and repent. And they did unto them likewise. They killed them, stoned them, and beat them, because the master or the owner of the vineyard was a long way away, and they figured they could get away with it. But last of all, he sent unto them his son. Now that would be Jesus, saying, they will reverence my son. But when the husbandmen saw the son, they said among themselves, this is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and let us seize on the inheritance. So they thought they would kill the son, which is Jesus, and that they would then own the vineyard because there would be no heir. Well, the vineyard represents the world. And they caught him and cast him out of the vineyard, and they slew him. Now, the question is, when the Lord thereof, of the vineyard, that would be God, cometh, what will he do unto those husbandmen? They say unto him, and he was talking, Jesus was giving this parable to the Pharisees. So Jesus asked him after he told the story, he said, now you guys tell me, what will the Lord of that vineyard do unto these people that destroyed the son of the owner? And they answered and they said, he will miserably destroy those wicked men, and will let out his vineyard to other husbandmen, which shall render him the fruits in their season. So the Pharisees, the religious men that Jesus was talking to, they admitted that the owner of the vineyard, which, see, it's a parable. They didn't realize that he was talking about them being the ones that mistreated the servants and the son. And, by the way, this is a prophecy. I just thought about it. Jesus is talking to these guys. He hasn't been killed yet. But he's prophesying right here by telling this story and saying that he slew the son. Well, Jesus was that son. So he was talking into the future, saying what was going to happen to him. So the unknowing religious leaders said that he will miserably destroy those wicked men and will let out his vineyard to other husbandmen, which shall render him the fruits in their season. So Jesus was not only prophesying his death by the people he was talking to, but he was also prophesying that those that don't believe in Jesus will be miserably destroyed, and that those that do believe in Jesus will get this vineyard, which is eternal life, All right, now I'm going to focus on what he said, what they said. They admitted to Jesus publicly that those people that did that is, that killed the servants, which are the prophets, and killed the son, would be miserably destroyed. Now, the word destroy, you have to look that up now to see exactly what it means. And this is proof that it doesn't mean that you're going to be burned in hell somehow it doesn't burn you up and you're going to be tortured eternally, and it just go on and on for eternity. That's not what Jesus said was going to happen to those that refused to receive him and that killed him. All right. In the Strong's Concordance, the word destroy that was used in this parable was 622. All right, so you look it up, and this is what it means. Now, the word in Greek is pronounced apollumi. A-P-O-L-L-U-M-I. Apollumi. It means destroy fully, perish, kill, destroy. Now you look it up if you want to have that proof, and then you will have the ammunition to correct the lie that God is going to torture people forever. God is a good God, and God does not torture people, and he finds no joy in the idea of torturing people. He will utterly destroy those that refuse to receive the Son. And that's the Son that the owner of the vineyard sent to the vineyard. They cast him out and they slew him. Okay? That's Jesus. Why do people teach, this is my opinion, why do people teach that God is going to punish people by torture? Now remember back to the ancient days, and remember back to the Middle Ages, torture was very prevalent, and mostly religious leaders did it. And they did torture people. They put them on the rack and pulled them in half. They tied them between horses and snatched them in half. They burned them alive. They did many things. They had exquisite practice in torturing people. They wanted to keep them alive as long as they could to give them the ultimate punishment and torture. Well, they did this because they were wanting to keep power. Now, that's what they did to Jesus. The Romans apparently were the best at torturing people. Nobody wants to die from asphyxiation. That's why people are so scared of drowning. So the Romans combined physical torture with asphyxiation, or the inability to breathe. The ability to breathe is our strongest self-preserving instinct. We know we've got to breathe. And when anybody cuts your breath off, you do the very best you can to restore it. Now, the torture of crucifixion, the victim was hung on this cross in such a way, now remember it was nailed by their feet too, then they had their hands up, and it really would cut their breath off hanging there. And they would have to push up with their bruised and bloody feet to take a breath. And then when that breath was used up, then they would sag back down again, all the time scraping their back on the rugged cross. It was a terrible, terrible torture. Now that's really something that men would do, not God. God will utterly destroy you by not letting you be raised from the dead permanently. What they're doing there now is they're establishing a new pecking order. That won't last long, though. The one with the antlers is taking over dominance, See, he's pushed this other guy out of the feeding area because he still has antlers. And but when this other one drops his antlers in a few days, he won't be dominant anymore, and they'll go back to the pecking order pretty much decided by size. We'll watch that a little bit. Okay. I gotta concentrate on my message now. These deer are interesting though, aren't they? Okay, so the devil is the one that has orchestrated this misunderstanding of what will happen to people that are not saved. Those that refuse Jesus' free offer of salvation, that refuse the blood sacrifice that he did on the cross, the horrible torture. I haven't been tortured that way, but I've been told and read that the Roman crucifixion torture was the very best ever devised. One thing, it was real slow and it lasted a long time. And the Romans would have let it last even longer if the victim could have held out. So that would be analogous to the idea that we're going to be tortured in hell forever. The idea that God would do that is a man-made lie. And I say it's Satan himself that has caused the confusion about, and I would say the lie that God is so bad that a good God could devise a torture. Well, what would be worse than the Roman crucifixion? Well, that lasted, like, some people might hold out a day. Some really strong people might hold out a day and a half before they died. Imagine if the Romans could have figured out how to torture you for eternity like that, they probably would have done it, because they were evil, wicked men. Not necessarily the Roman people, but the people that were in charge, those that were put in power by Satan, were minions of the devil. So I say they came up with that story. That would have been the Roman religious leaders, because they had their own purposes. One thing they're doing is lying about God. They're maligning God by saying that he would do such a thing. The Bible does not teach it. I showed you what it says. Those that don't accept Jesus will be utterly destroyed, and that means permanently destroyed. Those that do believe in Jesus will be resurrected, and they will be permanently alive. That would be eternally alive in the kingdom of heaven, they call it, and in the new heaven and the new earth, and they will be in another non-fleshly form. If you don't think I'm right, look up what Jesus said in that thing and inform yourself. But I will promise you that I am right, because I looked it up and I know what words mean. And that word, apolumi, what is it? There I go sneezing again. Apolumi means destroy fully or perish, not be tortured forever. If you are teaching that God is going to punish and destroy people forever by torture, you are maligning God, a good God. I guess somebody out there might argue, if God is so good, why does he allow some of people to be utterly destroyed? Well, he doesn't allow them to do that. They choose that, because Jesus offered to die on the Roman torture device, the cross, to save people from being utterly destroyed. All he asked was that you believe and accept his sacrifice. So it's your choice. It's not that God is doing it to you. Every human being that's ever been born that sinned, which is every one of them, is going to die utterly. The soul that sinneth, it shall die. That's the punishment in God's perfect law. You'll just die. Except those that Jesus saves from that punishment. But he had to pay a price to do that. He had to buy you back. And he bought you with his perfect blood. This is what the New Testament teaches. This is what the Old Testament teaches. And I am inviting any of you out there. My job is, I see it, is to help, is to find the lost sheep. That would be the people that don't yet understand what Jesus is all about. Now, I don't know how long I've been going, 26, 28 minutes. It doesn't really matter, does it? This guy's here being intimidated by this spiked buck. That little spike is backing him down because he's got no antlers to defend himself with. Even those little spike antlers can stick through the hide of that big buck and do serious damage to him. All right, that's my story. Look it up in Strong's Concordance, 622. I believe is what it is. Number 622 in the Greek concordance. The concordance is divided into the Old Testament, which is in Hebrew and Aramaic, and the New Testament, which is in Greek. And you can look these words up. Get you a concordance, or you don't have to. You can get it online. The one I've got is probably 30 years old, and it's a great big old book in small print. And it was put together by Mr. Strong, Dr. Strong, I don't know what his name was. And he devoted his life along with a team of men to defining every word in the Bible so that you could look it up and not be fooled by people that were trying to change the wording or monkey around with the Bible. All right, this is my tale for today. Now I'm going to go up there. I want you to see that antler. So I'm going to walk up there, and they will probably walk away when I go try to find the antler. So just in case they don't, I'm going to take my antler with me for self-defense. And it is a Wilson Tour pitching wedge right there. This is my antler that I'm going to make sure, in case anybody up here tries to make a move at me, I'll have a little bit of defense and see if I can find this antler. Hello, baby. Fell off right down in here somewhere. right, here it is right here. It still has a little bit of blood right around there. Feels like high density plastic. It's quite light. Now why don't the red deer, my red deer, have huge racks like the ones in New Zealand and the ones in Germany and all that? It's the mineral content of the soil, I think. Now if I supplemented them with a great deal of minerals, I think they would grow the huge antlers. But anyway, they're bad enough like this. All right, this is Gardner Israel signing off.